Hi, everybody. I think that we're live. I'm Philip Sherburne, and you are here with me, JLIN, GAIKA, VTSS, and SOTE, aka Ata Ebtekar. On, I guess this is the second of Unsound Festival's online chat extravaganza discussion dialogue thingies, where we're talking about life and work and art in the COVID era. We're here today to talk about creative practice in the COVID-19 era. We're going to be talking about the work that everybody's doing, about performance, about our moods, and about kind of surviving as artists and moving forward and making next steps. I don't think any of my panelists really need much in the way of introductions. I mean, JLIN, we all know her from her records on Planet Mu. She's in Gary, Indiana right now. GAIKA's in London. He's just put out a phenomenal record, Seguridad, on Mexico's N.A.A.F.I label that I wrote about one of the tracks on Pitchfork not too long ago. VTSS, Martina, she's in Berlin, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Previously from Warsaw. She makes and plays techno and is a phenomenal DJ and producer. And finally, SOTE Ata is in Tehran, just back from the mountains of Iran. I've known Ata for like 20 plus years. We used to live together we used to live in San Francisco at the same time. We actually threw parties together as part of a collective there. And and he makes incredible experimental electronic music, some of it based on kind of traditional Persian and Iranian instruments and styles, and some of it absolutely not. Some of it very, very, very far out, purely electronic synthesis. And the other thing, I'm going to be leaving time for questions at the end. So if you have any questions for any of our panelists, please drop them in the chat, whatever application you're on. And somebody from Unsound will be relaying those to me because we would love to hear what questions you have. I wanted to start off by looking at something that you said, JLIN, back on March 23rd. So 4+ months ago, at the very beginning of all of this, really, at least in the United States. You said, for everybody using this time to be more innovative and creative, I commend y'all and love y'all's fight. You have my full respect for not sitting at home waiting to be saved. And I was wondering, has your attitude changed at all in the past 4 months?
No. 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 When I made that statement, because I think that can be taken in two different ways. When I made that statement, it totally meant that you took a horrible situation and you formed your diamond. You took in a tremendous amount of pressure and pressures, because we're still in it, and you took that and you shaped yourself, you molded yourself, and that's not easy every day. It's a fight for me every day. And it's a fight for everybody every day. But I commend people who take that fight and they step in the ring every day. So no, I'm not. Of course, we all have days. I had days where it was so much that all I could do was lay in bed. But it's not the fall. Don't worry about that. But did you get up? That's what I meant. Mm-hmm. Did you get up? Did you not say you're still alive, which means you got another chance? Did you get up? That's what I meant.
I was reading a piece in the New York Times yesterday, and I think it said something like, in the States, 33% of Americans are reporting symptoms of anxiety, and that's up from 8% last year. So that's like I don't know what, four time increase, and it said among Black Americans and maybe Americans of color, it was something like 58%. I mean, like huge numbers, and that's, I'm sure, underreporting. How would you all kind of describe your mental states, and how have they changed over the past 4 months?
I mean, for me, I kind of started off fairly optimistic and then slid into kind of depression and illness, and then that turned to like anger, really. And you know, I'm kind of, I don't know, in an unenviable position of often making work or my best work when fueled by that feeling, which is actually not my natural state. So it's kind of, it's, if you make kind of protest music, you know, yeah, it's, you know what I mean? It's like my time on the court for sure. But at the same time, like, people don't maybe realize that has a toll on my, you know, like emotional well-being, right? Because my way of dealing with trauma is to go and like make work about it. And so kind of being locked in at home, I just found it really, really difficult. Just so I couldn't actually do the thing that makes me feel better. Notwithstanding the fact that everyone, or my business anyways, falling through the floor. So having no money, like, can't, you know, it's not good for your mindset either.
Right.
I think for myself, yeah, I very much like GAIKA said, yeah, when you're having to take something, you're not in your natural state, but not being in your natural state to create your best work, I guess I would have to call that balance. Because in order for there to be good, there has to be there has to be bad. It has to be a something of some sort. For an example, when I did dark energy, I always say that, like, when I first, everybody took it the wrong way when I said, like, I create from the belly of the beast, and they took it from as this demonic thing. And that's what this is. You have to dig what that is that you're having to willing to, I think, to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. You have to willing to be not complacent, and digging in to find digging in the depth of yourself. Sometimes it's not even there, and having to pull this thing out. And yeah, you're being slammed with your bills. You're being slammed with your money just suddenly stops. Everything just comes to like a dead halt, and it's like you're trying to figure this out hour by hour. How am I going, all of this is weighing on you, all while sometimes, in my case, I'm still having to create for commissions, still having to do this, being Black in the United States, being a woman in the United States. It's, trying to doing this balancing act. It's more than rough some days. Yeah. And that's why I say, like, to every artist on this panel, to every artist who, that when you decide that you step in the ring every day, despite what's going on, I commend you. You have my respect.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very tough, definitely, but for maybe for myself, and maybe for I can speak a little bit about not obviously I can't speak for all Iranians, but we've been going through a lot of hardship in the past 30 plus years on a daily basis, really. And we don't even have to go that far. Let's say even the past 10 years with all the, US sanctions and all the hypocrisy from within the country as well as from outside of the country. And so Iranians are, have been, I don't want to say are used to this kind of situation, because this is obviously something completely new on an international level. But we have been dealing with a lot of really, really, really messed up things for the past several years. And in a way, in an ironic way, I mean, a lot of people, including myself, are kind of like even laughing at it. Oh, just another this on top of everything else. This on top of like, I mean, things that I don't know if a lot of people are probably not aware of this, but like simple things like prices are going up like from on a weekly basis, regular prices, like things that you go grocery shopping and the prices are quadrupled compared to 3 months ago, quadrupled,
Jesus.
you know, but the incomes are the same as 3 years ago, 2 years ago, you know. So imagine now with all the sanctions and all the other stuff that's basically I don't know, put on Iran and Iranians. So I mean, this has been extra rough, but this on top of everything else, I mean, I wonder how the Iranian folk, it's tough, but like JLIN said, it's you gotta go past this whole situation and just make it a positive thing and just doing positive things, productive things, and just keep going. Just there is no other choice, because if you don't, then it's defeat, and it's the end of you, and it's the end of everybody, you know. So yeah, it's I wouldn't say here there is like anxiety because of COVID, because there has been anxiety for years because of a lot of different things. So I think this is like just another major thing on top of a lot of other major issues from a lot of different angles that, you know, I don't want to get into politics, but just it's been really, really rough on Iranians.
Do any of you or all of you know somebody who personally got sick from coronavirus?
Yeah, got sick at death. We've had close people die. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I also had someone who died, but was living in New York actually.
I got sick myself, and yeah, I wasn't in the hospital, but I was pretty wiped out for about a month. A few friends of mine passed away from either COVID or just mental health issues in the lockdown. So just family, friends. I know quite a lot of people that died. I feel like for me, it's one of the things that kind of made me so angry was that it can't be normal to have to deal with this much death. Because everybody I know, all the Black people I know somebody who died, like in their family, like intimately. Like if you look at the numbers, that's going to be the case. It's in Britain anyway, you know. How many thousands of people, you know, and you kind of do the math in terms of degrees of separation. Everybody knows someone. It's a thing that's like present. It's been present in our lives, and I think any sort of, I don't understand why people sort of don't think that it's real. That's the bit I don't get. Because it's not just about, you know, like work practice and stuff. It's the rest of, you know, it's basic things. It's like life and death. And I think I can't like make work that pretends that that's not happening, or doesn't attempt to address these things, because it's just what my reality is.
Yeah, I was quarantining in Berlin, so I think that's pretty lucky, because if there are any countries in Europe that handled well the situation, like the governments, it's Germany and especially Berlin. So that feel just like having a reliable government here made me feel for sure a bit better than even compared to Poland, thinking about what my parents were going through. But also I was completely alone, closed down here, far from my family. So that was pretty challenging, especially, you know, living alone here. But yeah, also I guess I'm the youngest with like, for how I've been playing, you know, professionally. So I didn't have any savings basically. So that's been pretty challenging for like my mental health and getting myself to work. When you have like this thought about whether you're gonna be able to pay rent next month, because, you know, there was some help from the government, but it's not much and it just lasted for 3 months. So that's what's been bothering me and kind of blocking my creativity. Yeah.
Yeah, I
For
was
sure.
wanted to ask, like, being an artist is a, you know, it's a solitary endeavor at the best of times. And now sort of solitude has been enforced upon people. What kind of support systems do you have to fall back on? You know, do you have, and you may all have different experiences, you know, record labels, immediate community, family and friends, or are you really kind of feeling like you have to go it alone?
I mean, I feel like for me, the pandemic has kind of happened at a time where I was kind of going full cycle from I came from the kind of independent, like underground music culture or scene in London or in Britain. And then I kind of went on this foray into kind of, shall we say, larger entities. And in the end, they offer no support, like none. But I have a lot of support because I was used to making those connections with other musicians, with other people who are operating within, I guess, the scene or within this kind of sliver of culture that I'm part of. And that has been this kind of exhibition almost in kind of interdependence, right? That I'm able to put out a record with N.A.A.F.I because I'm friends with them, because I've been going to Mexico since I was young, and that record kind of perform as well, or if not better than my last releases on a much bigger entities. So, you know, I'm lucky that the guy I share a studio with, you know, and so on, he lives upstairs. So it's like, you know, I've got family connections in terms of when I'm doing scoring work and stuff like that. So all the support has come from, I guess what I'm saying, what I've generated myself. And I feel like we're kind of moving into an era where it's like, as above and so below, you know. We've seen the kind of governmental responses, certainly in Britain and America, to COVID-19. And certainly the big, you know, where are all the billionaires, you know, we're sitting on yachts, you know, and it's like down to like other musicians buying my releases on Bandcamp, you know. And I got signed in the aftermath of the first Black Lives Matter protest, right? The first lyrics on my kind of breakout song was "I can't breathe with my hands held up." I got signed because of this, because of endorsement from this. And during this period, I didn't hear a word from anyone that signed that record. Do you know? I heard from lots of people being like, "I'm on the street. This is my anthem. This you were right. Everything you've been saying was right. Look at the mask from back, you know, in 2015." Da, 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 da. I heard all of that, but not one person who actively profited from that called me up to say, "Hey, mate, are you okay?" So it's like, look, I just want to deal directly with the general public, directly with the people that put on the festivals, directly with the people that put on events, so that actually, I guess, be part of the culture that I claim to represent, as opposed to just being part of things that exploit that culture. And I think, you know, the same is true when you look at it kind of macroeconomically, right? Being big corporations have responsibility? Yes, I think they do. To support the people that make them rich. Yes, I think they do. So that's just my take on it anyway.
What kind of, maybe this is a good segue to talking about sort of the music that you're making and the art that you're working on right now. Like, have you all had to, or have any of you had to push off releases that you had kind of ready to go? I'm curious sort of what plans that you had ready to go got thrown up in the air when this all happened.
I kind of did that. I mean, I did release an album during this era, during this period myself, but I have a small label, and I've been getting ready some releases, about 4 or 5 releases. But I've been talking to the artists, and I've been, in the beginning of this whole situation, I've been telling my artists that maybe it's not a good idea to release the music now, because might get, it might be a waste to do so, because you can use, obviously, releases for performances, and but actually, in the past couple of weeks, the whole mentality has switched to, we can't wait anymore. I mean, because we don't know how long this whole situation is going to last, and so let's just do it. So now I'm back at I'm preparing the different stages. Some of the albums are ready, only the artwork needs to be done. Some of them need to be mastered. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get everything ready, and the artist, I have the artist's blessings, and I'm gonna release them and just see what happens. I mean, we can't wait forever and not release anything. And it sure has an effect of, I'm thinking, I obviously I've been taking the time, and I've been composing a lot, and I've been working on new material. But at the same time, stylistically, I've been debating which route to go. What should be next? Should I go more towards the rhythmic stuff that I've been doing? Should I do more experimental and more heady stuff? Which move is the best move to go towards? And so these are these have been my thoughts over the past couple of months now, and I still haven't found an answer, to be honest with you. So yeah.
Yeah, in my case, I started a label together with a friend, and we're gonna push more newer artists, and we called everything off. I guess with techno, it's like music that mostly works in a club. Like, it felt pointless, even though it would like probably sell out, and it wouldn't be like that much of a financial risk. We felt like the artists would benefit more if this music is actually played out in a club. That's like the only purpose of this music. So it felt really as not a good idea. And I also postponed all my releases for this year, which are also like just strictly techno or EBM. Yeah, basically, but that actually led me to making more different kinds of music that it would also work for your home listening. But yeah, it's not there yet.
I think I've obviously put out an album. It's kind of funny to put out an album and it kind of be well received critically, and then it's almost like, I don't know, it's like trying to play football without a ball. Like, it's really strange, because normally, okay, we're gonna do some shows and it's gonna work like this, but now it doesn't work like that. And especially when you don't even really see people that much to even know, it's like living in this weird vacuum, actually. And I'll I'll get recognized in the street and someone go, oh, I love the new record. And I was like, forgot that I put it out because it's just not the usual cycle or what I've been used to because I've been touring nonstop for such a long time. But at the same time, you know, up to last year, I was really touring so heavily, and then I just stopped wanting to do it, and I'd kind of changed my practice more towards scoring and commission work and just fine art side of things that I had done and kind of what I came from, and it's obviously proved to be the smartest decision ever because I'm just like quite busy with things at the moment in terms of commissions and stuff. So I guess I haven't really slowed down at all. In fact, I've got busier because I've actually been in one place rather than traveling so much. But it's really weird. It's really like, I wouldn't say disconcerting, but it's just, everything's kind of topsy-turvy. So I guess we're just trying to like thrash things out and find out what's the shape of this going to be? How does the music industry or electronic music, what does it look like now that there are no clubs? When that's it, really.
I was curious about Seguridad, your album on N.A.A.F.I. How much of that was done already, and how much of that did you actually complete during the pandemic? Like, did you know that you were going to be putting that out as an album, or is that something that kind of came out because you were at home and you needed something to do?
No, like, so I kind of...
Because that was recorded in Mexico, right?
Yeah, I've just got really good gut instinct for it. So I recorded that 2 years ago. When you went to mix Basic Volume in LA, I was just, me and my best friend just decided, we're like, look, we've got to do something else also. So we just jumped and caught a flight to Mexico City and then kind of recorded that really intensely. And then kind of just sat on it for 2 years and slowly mixed it, like additional production, chop and change this, but like just slowly sat on it and let it sit, I think. And then it was in January, I was in Mexico again, and I was just talking to the guy who runs N.A.A.F.I, and we were just like, look, when you know, I think they've got a bit exasperated with me, like, when do you want to put this out? And I was just like, look, there's going to be a time, you know, there's going to be a time where this means people are going to understand what it means. You know, it's not just going to get lost in the wash, right? And I think it just came to me really during the protests, and I just listened back to what I had actually said on the record, and it seemed so prescient, and got to that point where it's like, I can't sit on this anymore because then I'm lying, and I never want to be lying. And so, yeah, it was all done. We were just mastering it. I've got lots of things. I like work 2 years in advance. I'm never not making music. So like I have another albums of music just like sat on my hard drive, waiting for another apocalypse or something. But yeah.
Or not, you know, you could just put it out.
Yeah, for sure.
JLIN, I know you do a lot of kind of commissions and stuff as well. You typically, you know, you've done work for dance. You've been working with some kind of contemporary composers. Are you able to continue doing that work now? I'm
more busy now than I was when I was on tour.
Okay.
Same. In the midst of having to, like everybody else, play the balancing act. Yes, I'm in the process of working on a commission right now, and it's supposed to be 50 minutes long, and it seems like it's the work. I'm loving it. I have discovered, I know I'm discovering different sides of myself creatively, but I know it's because I'm going, not just but, you know, just me as creatively just solo experiencing what I've been experiencing, with COVID. But I know that, I know I'm a person that believes, and this is not to speak for anybody else, everything that I go through, I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to go through that thing, whatever that thing is. And I either learn from it or I repeat that thing until I do. So that can be in different variations, but commission wise, I'm also more busy. Because it on one hand, it's like from last year, it was like constantly, you're plane to plane to plane to plane to plane. You perform at 2 a.m., your flight's at 7, and then the next show happens the next night. And then it's a continuous cycle, like, the touring life. And now it's, being stationed home, by this, by COVID, and it has had, its ups and downs with creatively. But right now I have to honestly say, like, I'm in a space, I'm in a very good creative space. But I definitely think, having been knocked around a lot, and having, have my mother that's my foundation. She's my solid. She always is. It doesn't matter whether I'm way up high or way down low, she's my solid. My father has been my solid as well. And I know I talk about my mom a lot, but my father has also been my solid. And, having to, when it, time for, like, shit, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to do this? They've always been, and I try not to ask, because, I feel like, shit, I'm a grown woman, I should be able to take take the load, because my mother did it, my father did it, but my mom had to sit me down and tell me, hey, this is different. So if you need me or you need your father, I'm not going to be able to do it all the time, but if you need us, don't be ashamed to ask, because that's what we're here for. So, they've been my solids for sure. As far as industry, Unsound has definitely been a solid for sure. Not just saying that because this is Unsound Zoom. They really, Gosh and Matt have been solids too. They really have. To check in on me every week, sometimes every day, having conversations, just being real, putting the artistic and the musician part down and putting that human, your human side just in the, and hey, we're going through it, them being honest with me being honest with them, and just, having that understanding and that human connect. So, I've had some terrible days, but I've also had some great days, but more so I have, I'm grateful I'm still here. Because it's a lot of people that aren't. And that's why when you asked me, you said, waiting to be saved. I meant that in the sense of context of, you waiting for, despite everything that's happening, you just having to push. You really having to find it when it ain't even there to push. And you do it. And that's okay if you have to stop, take a breath, but, just get back up and keep pushing. And because, you're going to push and something's going to happen. That's how a diamond is created. That pressure. And then everybody loves the end story. Wow, look at that beautiful diamond. But the amount of pressure that piece of coal had to go through, yeah, that's real. So, yeah, sorry.
It's been a while since you put out, you did the autobiography from Wayne McGregor's autobiography 2 years ago, but it's been 3 years since your last like artist album, Black Origami, and I keep thinking like, oh, maybe JLIN's gonna just like drop her new album. You know, like I keep watching, right? Like, oh, she's doing something during this time. Where is it?
Yeah, I've had people ask me so much. You know, I just have to be honest with you. I put myself on the back burner. Gasha can attest to this. I put myself on the back burner for probably about 2 or 3 years, which has been fine. But after this commission, so everybody that's watching, after this commission that I'm working on right now, I'm picking me back up. So I'll be working on my album after this. So yeah.
Somebody in the chat asked, and whoever of you wants to pick this up can get it. I mean, maybe Martina kind of already spoke to this, but how does it feel to be working on music at times when you don't know if you'll be able to perform live in the future or in the near future? Does it change the kind of music you're making?
No, not really, because no, there's always going to be the different projects stylistically, but I do agree that these times for me as well are very good creative times, and there's a lot of time to be creative and do the projects or compose the music that you didn't have time before because you're always on the road and from city to city and performing, and it's hard to concentrate or devote your a big chunk of time to the writing process. However, this for me personally, my main income source for the past several years has been performances, and that has been cut. So it's getting very stressful. I'm still okay, but depending how long it's gonna take, I don't know. So these thoughts of like, okay, how am I gonna make money? Because there is no income. I don't make any money from record sales, album sales. There's nothing. Even if there is a small amount, nothing can really get to me because of the sanctions, because there is I would have to go to a place outside of Iran to pick up the money. Nobody can wire money to me, unfortunately, but there is nothing anyway. And so this has been a stressful situation for me, because the income has stopped. I was teaching part-time. I was teaching synthesis, and sound design and electronic music here in Iran privately, but I can't do that either because it was it was like it was private lessons. Somebody is sitting right next to me, next to my computer, so we can't do that. I can't teach online because it doesn't make sense. It can't work. So yeah, that has been definitely tough and a bit stressful.
One of the sort of the bright spots seemingly during all the past few months has been Bandcamp. I mean, Bandcamp has always, I've been a fan for a long time, and that's my kind of primary source for buying music these days. And Bandcamp has instituted these Bandcamp Fridays, first where they were waiving fees. One Friday a month, they were waiving the cut that they take and giving that all to the label and or the artist. And then as the Black Lives Matter protests started, they began donating a cut to charitable organizations, activist organizations, bail funds, things like that. And it seems like there's just been a big culture around these Bandcamp Fridays. I was wondering how your sales have been on the platform. Have you seen them go up during the pandemic? Are people buying more music? And what has specifically the impact of the Bandcamp Fridays been for you? Has it been a tangible help?
So like, I didn't have a Bandcamp before. I still don't actually have my own artist Bandcamp because my last records came out on a label that wanted to only make money from streaming, which I never see, right? So with this was my first foray. This album was my first foray into Bandcamp, and just the support that we've seen from it, it's kind of blown me away. That people are still willing to sit down and spend $15, $20, $25 on a digital album. They will do it if you're actually speaking to them, to the active listener, not just the passive kind of algorithmic stuff, which doesn't really, I never really made that much sense to me. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. I will be putting out all my future releases through Bandcamp or things that encourage people to purchase music. Because at the end of the day, right, one thing that COVID has taught us is that a lot of people really don't care about music, or they just want to exploit it. The amount of comments that I've had, people being like, "Oh, well, get a proper job," and I'm like, "Well, you're the same person dancing in the club, right? You're the same person that's got your favorite song. So I'll tell you what, I'm not giving you nothing for free anymore. How about that?" You know what I mean? And that's what I'm on with, people purchasing music or people supporting streaming platforms like the new one, Resonate and stuff like that, which actually pay artists properly. Because what, do we want to live in a world without music? I don't think so. So I don't understand why everybody just seems to think that it's okay. Daniel X saying, "Oh yeah, everyone should." Artists need to get with it and release more frequently, and that you're living in a bygone era. As he sat on the millions, it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I hope his business falls apart. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's. Let's talk it in real terms. Like, this is a labor issue, paying conditions, because as musicians, particularly electronic musicians, we have no unions.
Right. Yeah.
We have nothing. We have no organization. And so what is it? It becomes this kind of crabs in a barrel situation where everybody's competing or fighting with each other for pennies.
Yep.
When you've got like tech billionaires like earning all of this money from this, sitting there now telling us, "Hey, work harder."
Right.
Like, I know where I've seen that before, and I'm just not trying to participate like willingly, I'm not trying to. I feel like we've got to actively. COVID has given us an opportunity to actively investigate new models, support new models, and as consumers, support the artists that we love, right? And that's why that's why I opened with it, having no money, because okay, I'm all right because I'm doing different commissions for things, but that's because I was a graphic designer and video person before I did any of this. For so many people I know, they're just literally on the breadline whilst people enjoy their songs.
Yep.
So anyone who's watching this tomorrow, support the artists that you love, and buy something. Like, let's share what resources that we have. And I think Bandcamp I have to commend them for just actually like making that a reality. Just by a simple action of just waiving their fees, So many, if everybody followed suit and did real things, then a lot would change.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally relating to GAIKA with the situation of, it's like the same, I think to tell, when you have a skill, I have the skill, I'm from an industrial, I worked in a steel mill. So if, I can always go back to work. And it's a comforting thing, but I know a whole lot of people where this is all they do. And this is all they've done, musically or artistically, and, whatever their thing is. And I think that, in having a duality skill. It's a, you know, it's a blessing, but I've also, you know, speaking to so many other of my, you know, my friends and my colleagues, and they're like, you know, man, this is, you know, it's just, I'm watching them break.
Mm.
And it's quite something, you know, to see. And it makes me, you know, it feel a way. And you having to check on your friends and having to make sure that they're okay. And then I'm also watching same thing. It seems I see it on social media, you know, with the fighting, because now it does become a crabs in a barrel situation.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's I mean, like, to the point of just outright, just straight up hate. Like, I mean, and you know where it's coming from. You know what's driving it.
yeah.
But it's just like, I mean, at an all-time high. And it is hard to, you know, it's realistically, you know, realistically, every last person on this panel feels it. We all feel it. It's like every last one of us. And having to, you know, again, do the juggling act of, okay, I'm feeling this thing, but I'm on a deadline. I have this thing, I'm on a deadline, or I have to get, you know, I plan to get this record out. And now this has happened. I can't travel. You know, we all, you know, make money from touring.
Yeah.
And none of us can tour it now, you know, and it would be, you know, used to be a thing where it would be nothing to see. I might, you know, see you guys in 2 different cities, you know, in the same weekend.
Right.
And, you know, yeah, we might, and then see each other in the airport again, you know, it's, and then all of a sudden it just comes to a dead stop.
I mean, I think that way of living is fascinating. I don't think it will return, you know, where you kind of, I used to call it like internationally broke, right? You're just kind of living this jet set lifestyle, but like without the money, you know, like,
yeah.
And you know, you're sort of working a normal job, but it just so happens that you travel cross continentally every week, all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a funny, I always think if I had kids in the future, how would I explain that period in my life that from 1 minute to New York, to the next minute to Tokyo, the next minute to Europe, and that's just normal, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, we kind of did that in a way. It was a drug, because, or certainly was a kind of a psychedelic, in so much as you're just not in the reality of like financial kind of larceny that's going on in music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you're just like, well, you know, I get to play in New York, I get to go to this place, I get to go to this place. You're not realizing like the pyramid, you know, and whilst you're running around doing that, there's lots of people, but less, who are sat at a desk collecting.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think with COVID, it presents this issue, right? It's like, now we're taking a risk with our health, right? Touring, you being in an enclosed space with people singing, you know. I never get sick, right? My whole life, I've never really got ill. I fell ill immediately after like playing a festival, you know. And I could feel like, oh, this is something not, it's everyone was ill inside the building, you know. So until there is like a foolproof vaccine and so on, like this is going to be an issue that we have to contend with.
Yeah.
So suddenly, okay, that DJ fee, I'm gonna have to multiply it by 10, because you're talking about my health now. To actually
for now, it's been basically, I've done some shows and they say they're going to pay you half of what you're supposed to get like a year ago. So.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. That's which is just
because of the limits in the venues and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So what could have happened is, whether they be streaming platforms or labels or whoever can say, okay, we're gonna underwrite this situation. So we're gonna keep the art alive, so that actually, you know, I wouldn't happen to be making nominal payments when we put on 9 Nights, which is a streaming, like a live stream that was started, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can only afford to pay people nominal amounts because we've got no support from anywhere.
Right.
And like all the artists on there, people are subscribing to hear their music. So it's just like, it just seems like there's somebody in the middle, like not participating, do you know what I mean? And you know, I feel like any kind of like, we've got to build new platforms that just deal directly so that actually the money that comes in can support artists. I think, you know, what you were saying about techno kind of not having a context because there's no clubs. Well, I think a new context will evolve. And I think that actually might be a space where, because everyone's been so independent, you guys find a way of kind of monetizing your music and your musical performance in like a meaningful way, right? I think for me, in the like kind of, I don't know, experimental like listening music space as opposed to dance music, it's been really interesting because, you know, where were people listening to my music? They were listening to it at their job, when they went into a store, you know, in that bar or whatever. None of those places are populated anymore. So I found that it's been much more direct, like people wanting me to do more remixes because they want to play in their house parties, or they want to connect with the more danceable bits, which is not something I expected at all.
Yeah, I saw an interesting report pretty early on, and that Spotify's listenership, I guess it was in Italy, like when Italy got hit super hard by the pandemic before other places did, with the exception of Iran, that Spotify's listenership had plummeted by like 25% because people weren't at their jobs. They weren't at their desk, which is where they listened to Spotify, which I thought was really interesting. People weren't listening to music at home. You know, it was this, which kind of confirmed this idea that like a lot of Spotify listening is very passive. It's people putting on background music to forget about it. And it's not, it's not like something they choose in a way. And so sort of like you say, that leads to new models of if people aren't at their jobs, if people aren't commuting anymore, if people aren't in the dance clubs, like what kind of music fills the new spaces?
I think music, like music as opposed to music, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of what's on Spotify is just like lift music, and they clearly don't care about artists and just want to effectively one day just replace us with drones, right? Right? No, look at what they invest in, right? It's not music, it's AI generative music things. So it's clear to me what that's about. And I think now that we're in situations where it's again about active listenership as opposed to kind of passive listening, it's about kind of the reemergence of subcultures that are not immediately co-opted by whichever brand, simply because the brands don't have that money. I think what will emerge is kind of what I call music that's about something, music that is imbued with emotion and some kind of truth, and not just there to kind of make hedge fund managers more rich. And I'm excited about that, you know.
I wanted to ask you guys about performance, both online streaming performances, but also like real in the world performances. And Martina, you've played a couple gigs, right?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of backlash on the internet, especially coming from the US, where like, I mean, there's situation here is completely different. Yeah, I guess people, I would honestly get messages like, how am I going to live with myself knowing that a couple people will certainly die because of me? This kind of messages from Canada or the US, a lot of them actually. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's scary and like, though I don't know why people blame the DJs. Where, I mean, I get it if someone is like a huge like superstar and doesn't need this gig for money or like for rent for actually making through this time. But like honestly, in my situation, it's not because I've missed clubbing so much or I've missed playing. It's honestly to get any money. I'm a sound engineer. I was before that, so either way, I'm not gonna have a job, right? And in Berlin, at least, a lot of my friends were being laid off. So honestly, no one is hiring if I want to do something else. That's only what I can do, right? I've done some remixes, for example, for money, but yeah, how many remixes can a person do in 1 month? So yeah, and I don't know, like I feel like blaming the DJs for actually wanting to do their job, it's not the right thing to do right now. It's like if someone should be blamed, it's the local governments that allow these parties because all these events are legal, or the promoters. But yeah, I've been getting quite a backlash for doing some events. But you know, for me, it's like it's I had some money, but it's gone now. So it's like honestly a question of whether I'm going to be able to pay my rent and my health insurance or like some other stuff that I have to pay, like loans. So yeah.
What has it been like at these events? I mean, what's the vibe like? Are people in masks? Are they distancing? Like, what's it like there?
Well, I've played South Italy, and they told me that it's been honestly like one case a day of COVID in their region. So they were actually encouraging me that I don't need to play in a mask, but I felt like it's better because just, you know, for the whole, like to give good example or something. I don't know. But no one had a mask in the club. 0 people in this club particular, or like 1 or 2 people I've run into. But you know, they seem to be confident about the situation in South Italy. They check the like everyone's temperature at the airport, and yeah. Other events been more crazy. Berlin has been pretty wild. Like there's honestly so many illegal and legal now raves here around. So it's pretty overwhelming. It feels like nothing has happened here except from when you go to a grocery store, you need a mask, or like on a public transport. But it honestly, it's kind of scary how people in Berlin think about stuff. But yeah, you know, it's been important for me to do any gigs actually. So just to support myself.
In London, there's this thing with they call them UMEs, unlicensed music events. Everyone's having block parties everywhere, and the police are kind of, that's the main thing that they're trying to deal with. I'm just like, well, what do you expect? Because they're doing this they've kind of dealt with these things in a typically racist way. So, you know, all the pubs are open, but no clubs. So you've got this spectacle of kind of pub drinkers filling the streets of Soho, but then anyone that's involved in other kinds of culture has nowhere to go. So they're just doing it themselves, right? Like,
I wonder, like in terms of safety, what's the difference between having a pub open than a club?
Well, there's no difference, right? They'll claim, oh, these people have got the right regulations and so on, but like they're inside, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, and so there's been some very block parties, been, you know, like young black kids fighting white police because that's what they're doing, and it's hot, right? So I haven't been to any of those things and so on. I mean, I've tried where my mum lives, so they're doing them all the time, and they're kind of having this interference with from the police and so on. I've kind of been looking at trying to think of ways in which those things can happen safely and can happen legally, because they're not going to not happen, simply because it's just too much of a double standard. Personally, myself, we started a live stream series called 9 Nights, which was a kind of response to the Black Lives Matter protests and just the movement in general. And we did so because I was like, look, I'd rather be dead from COVID than like be alive with racism. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. So I have to do something whatever I can to kind of, I just had to do something. And I felt like actually speaking about it and using whatever platform I have seemed like the most natural thing to do. And we did it in a socially distanced way, and we had masks and all of the cleaning stuff and all of the rules in place, and just trying to do it properly. But at the end of the day, there's, it was the first time that, I'd seen anyone as 10 people inside a venue, and it definitely felt like, oh, what am I doing? But music has to survive, art has to survive, we have to survive. And without there being any kind of other framework, what are we supposed to do? That's the question. Like, what, we just go do something else, which is what people seem to say. All right, then there'll be no music then.
Yeah.
I know the whole world becomes like the town from Footloose, like, I'm not interested in that. So I think for me, it's been about trying to find different ways of performing. I didn't want to do any of the live stream, the kind of iPhone live stream stuff, because it just didn't sound good, didn't look good. So that's why we started Nine Lights, was because it just felt like, let's represent this properly. But again, it's like how that becomes sustainable is really difficult, and what we're trying to work on. Was
Nine Nights hard to set up logistically? Because I mean, you're using actual venues, you've got a video team, sound people, multiple cities.
Yeah, I mean, was it hard? Yes, it's hard, but it's not. It's not just me. There's 4 of us, and everyone is operating at a quite high level. So Shannon from Hyperdub, Gloria, she used to work at BR, and then Zara Trustiles used to work at Sunset House. So we all got production, and I used to make music videos and so on. So we all got production, like connections and skill, and like know what we're doing. So it's still hard. The main issue is that we've got no money, because no one has come forward and said, hey, like, we want to support this. We've had plenty of like pats on the back and, oh, aren't you doing, here's 50 quid. But, in terms of funding, we're just doing it out of our own pockets. And we'll continue to do so, but I would think something like that, I would expect to at least be in the frame for some sort of funding, especially as we've executed it at such a high level.
Mm-hmm.
But no, if we're just sitting on their hands, like waiting for it to all go back to normal.
Atta, have you done any performances at all?
I've had some offers, but I declined most of them because I hope that someday, because of this whole situation, something will evolve, something new, something interesting. But right now, live streams are just not interesting to me. They're not attractive, because a big part of electronic music for me is the sound system. And it's just not interesting to see someone behind a laptop or behind a modular system, tweaking knobs and listening through either computer speakers or headphones, or it's just that's not what a performance is for me, as far as electronic music is concerned. I've accepted, there is going to be a Opal Tapes showcase that I will be part of at Tusk Festival in October, I think. But I'm going to record that live. I'm going to do an electroacoustic performance with traditional Iranian musicians. We're going to record our performance, and I'm going to basically mix the whole thing.
That's cool.
And so that's something that, and then it's going to be broadcasted. So that to me is okay, because I'm going to be able to mix it, and I'm going to make it sound as good as possible, and I don't have to worry about internet, dropping out or not working or things like that. So yeah, I'm not a big fan. I haven't even watched a single performance from the beginning till the end in this whole time. I've tried and it was just not attractive to me, or I've had internet issues. Yeah,
that's what we've been doing. Really, is just recording, the shows. So we stream with a delay. So we record and then we do a quick mix, and then broadcast, and then afterwards, again, just treat everything and so on. And I think moving forward, we want to kind of probably even increase the delay and kind of do them as pre-records, fully mixed and so on. Because as you say, it's like not that interesting what doesn't sound good.
No.
But there's ways around that. It's just working it out, and I feel like it's a time to have conversations like this,
Right. Yeah. I agree. It is. It's definitely, it's this is just pressing everybody to have to learn to be like, we have, just getting innovative and figuring out how we're gonna, do
Make
this
it
thing.
interesting.
Make it interesting. Yeah. Like, okay, so we've been, all right, y'all, our back is against the wall. Now, how we gonna get out of here? How we gonna swing and make this land, you know what I'm saying? And not swing and miss. So, yeah, it's like that, it's really just about, okay, now this is when the test of of being innovative comes out. You take the music out of school, so okay, well, we'll create the drum machine. Cool. It went from us beating on desk with your fist and a pencil to, there's the MPC. It's just this is where we are right now. So this is definitely a trial and error, and it's no sense of I'd like to get on Instagram because I like for myself, like when I people have seen me stream on Instagram or Facebook from time to time, well, more than time to time, but where I like to create in front of people, because I like for them to see that I struggle just like you do, people who may look up to me or whatever. Hey, every time I sit in this chair to work, it's a struggle, it's a fight, because I'm, I'm trying to come up with the idea or whatever it is, same thing here. It's like, we, nobody, there is, what COVID definitely did is remove the facade. It did nothing else. It removed the facade if it did nothing else. So, all you can do is be, is be real now, because that's where we all are. So, let you just trying, like you said, trying to find a way. All right, we right here. So what we gonna do to get out of this one? How we gonna make it better? So yeah, that's real.
I think there's a lot of venues, right, that can't open, and there's a lot of sound engineers that, and kind of production companies that kind of don't have any work, and I feel like there's got to be some space for creating music programming that is kind of, that people pay to watch, right? And is, there's too much talent and too many people that want to do something good, and we just got to start communicating with each other and stop communicating with what was the previous kind of money spouts. And I feel like it's going to get rougher, but it is going to get better, because I can see even from this conversation, there's people all over the world who just aren't giving up.
Martina, you've been doing you did her Berlin set, right? I don't know if you've done more of those. What are those like? And somebody asked on one of the chats also, does the artist get paid from those performances?
This is just like a normal radio, so it kind of feels more like it's just, like promotion. Like when you tour and you're invited to play radio before your gig, it doesn't feel like any different. I did one United We Stream.
That's funded by like European arts funding, right?
I think they were like getting money from people, just like donating, but might be also, I don't know. But I wasn't paid from any of that. So for me, it's been like, you're like used to that you sometimes have to play at the radio, even though you don't really want to, but it's before your show, it's to promote your show or whatever, right? So then it's just changed to having do more free radio show instead of like once every 3 months. Now you do like once every like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So it's still unpaid. It's still a lot of work, and it just only, I don't know, it creates some movement on your Facebook page or something. So it's nothing really that's helpful in any of this,
Do you enjoy playing music on them at least?
Yeah, I mean, the first one was super exciting after not doing anything or just DJing from my home. But then it kind of like, it's that you don't, I mean, after all, you play for people, actual people dancing, not, if you see that there's like 100 people more on the stream watching, you're not going to feel any different,
Right.
So
Yep.
So it's just like even like the compliments hit different,
Mhm.
because like it's just why are you doing that for? So, but with like Hoor, there's a window so people can actually show up and just like listen on the music from their phone, and you can see them. The window is in front.
Cool.
They see you and they see them, but they have to listen through their phone speakers. So, but people show up like that to like feel connected. I mean, now in Berlin, there's just like so many parties, and they're all like outdoor. But yeah, so now it's a bit different. My first party I played was really special. But I guess everyone's now is learning how to operate that. In Berlin, even in restaurants, you have to like sign, give all the details and stuff. And same with parties. And I played parties like in Paris, and there's been a bit of backlash for the people not wearing masks, and just like I would be getting shit from people on the internet saying, why are you playing events when there are people without masks on, even though it would be legal in a specific country. And I don't know what it's expected of me, that I show up to an event and there's people without masks and I say, no, I'm not going to perform, I'm going to go away, or like I'm going to get my flight back. I would have to, it's a job for me. It's not up to me to like police whether people are doing that, it's yeah.
Maybe this is a good time to transition to, I mean, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. It's been sort of the through line of the talk, but sort of the idea of systemic change and what's necessary. And I wanted specifically to talk about the Black Lives Matter protests this year. I mean, they can't really be separated from the pandemic, even though they're two very different things in some ways, but they've occurred at the same time and they've influenced each other. And what I think has come out, what sort of both of those have exposed is this idea of systemic failure, of our governments are failing us, our capitalism is failing us, and what's true for sort of society as a whole is probably true tenfold for Black communities all around the world. In fact, I'm kind of taking that idea of the system is broken from GAIKA. I think that phrase was used in the text for your 9 nights. And so I was wondering, I mean, what, like in music specifically, well, first of all, what, and I don't want to put you two on the spot, GAIKA and JLIN, but you're the ones who have probably certainly had a more meaningful experience of the past few months. How has it affected you, and how does that feed back into music, and what kind of systemic change is necessary in music from your perspective?
Well, all right. I've been talking about this thing my entire career. So it's like how it's affected me was kind of sadness that I still had to be talking about it. And then a feeling of needing to get to action. It's like, okay, cool. Now everyone can see that I wasn't lying. Cool. It's time to do something. And, fundamentally, maybe we're open to, it's all of us are open to like an honest appraisal of where we're at in music. Electronic music in many ways is just so fundamentally built on like Black culture and so fundamentally flawed in its relationship with Black people. Yeah, and that has to change. It has to change when I can walk into a room that is created on the foundation of like Black people, Black American music, and there were no Black people in any senior position. There were no Black people really in any junior position. There's one person or two people of color that work in the whole building. Yeah, that's fundamentally wrong. I guess what's I've seen in the last month or two is that actually the systemic change that's needed is so deep and been met by so much resistance that actually I'm at the point where I'm like, no, I just have to completely divest myself from those structures and build my own. Mm-hmm. Because we're talking about the basic value of human life. We're talking about a hierarchy which puts white men at the top, Black women at the bottom, and saying, hey, that's wrong, we should all be here. And then people saying, actually, do you know what? I'm not changing. Donald Trump staring down the camera saying, we will never change. So it's like, for me, the gloves are off. Like, it's not really a game, you know. How can this be? Why am I having to justify or even answer this question? Like, it's obvious, isn't it? What can be done? I tell you what, stop exploiting Black people, stop killing Black people, stop pushing Black people down. Every Black person that I know, all right, I always ask them this question: is there a day in your life that you have not considered racism? A day in your life you didn't know you were Black? Today, I haven't met anyone that says, stops and thinks and says, oh, you know what? I remember this one day that I didn't think about it. Not in America, not in Britain.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, this is nothing new.
Yeah.
This is nothing new. And I know we're talking about Black, but I've been experiencing, I mean, now I live in Iran, but when I used to live in Germany and when I used to live in the United States for over 20 years, every day I had to deal with something that was racially related. And, you know, so this is nothing new. Nothing is going to change. It's not about the music. It's not about the systematic change for musicians, or it's much deeper than that. It's just now the world is going mad because of what a lot of Western countries and mainly the US and Donald Trump are doing. Now the only difference is now everything's on the table. Now they look into your eyes and say, yeah, white pride. Yeah, white lives matter.
Right.
Yeah, this. No, that's the only difference. It has been going on all our lives, and it's going to happen for the rest of our lives. And the only thing that is different now is the fact that everything is on the table now. That's it.
Yes. It's been, to me, because it's so funny. I just answered this question. We were talking about it kind of yesterday when we did, and I said, this isn't new. This is it's been validated. That's all. So I get kind of pissed actually not at the question. Yes, at the question, especially because it's like, especially when you have your to ask me, well, what can I do? Or what can be done? Stop killing Black people. What the hell do you mean? What can you do? Like, what do you mean? How can you? What should I do? Oh my God, Black people are dying. What do we do? Like, I mean, is this a real question?
Yeah. This is like just one little part of it. I mean, what you do is like stop oppressing.
Stop oppressing. Yes.
Yeah.
Stop oppressing on
Yes. Stop
every level.
oppressing.
That's it. I mean, but the thing is, it's they won't, because it's all
No,
about
because
money and power.
no. Yes,
And it's
because
not,
because
yeah.
it's I totally agree. I feel like I listened to David Banner asked the question. He said, I asked my white friend, he said, his white friend's like, he said, he's like, it's like, what happened to Black people when, with slavery and, in the past, and just with, the civil rights is bad. And he asked his friend, well, would you give up your white privilege? And he was like, don't think so. So, just that, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you, to me, it's like, it's completely patronizing after a point. Completely patronizing. Don't patronize me. Well, what can we do? Well, let's, I don't know. And this is no shot at any festival but we've all experienced it. Please, let's throw, let's put a woman on the event. Let's make sure the woman is Black. Let's make sure we're hitting all the criterias, because we don't want the feedback. So then that becomes tokenism.
Yeah.
And then, I have found myself, I've turned down the show and interviews for tokenism. You have me on with 5 white men, and then it hits you, damn it, we don't have one person of color on here. Oh shit. What do we do? I don't know. Call JLIN. She's a woman and she's Black. She covers the whole spectrum.
The thing is, and it's, what's crazy to me is that, and why I've kind of taken in sense an even more militant position, is because in the aftermath of the recent protests, right? And I saw this rush to, like, I had record out and rush to, hey, come and be in this campaign, come and do this, come and do this. I've had people try and photograph me with banners that say "rethink" written on them, right? And had to walk off a photo shoot. I'm talking about recently. Yeah, I got sent a voiceover script, right? They made me sign an NDA, so I can't say who it was, and it starts with, "There is no Black and blue," right? I.e., this ain't happening. Yeah, there's no. It's just like the all lives matter, the situation, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, these are big companies, right? It's like, this is crazy. So many of my friends have stopped working in music, or stopped working with brands, or stopped working with this stuff, because the response has been so utterly pathetic. So me, I'm now committed to this idea of dual power, right? Where it's like, I just have to create the world that I want to see in microcosm, yeah. Mm-hmm. And those who are willing will come and join it, right? And those who want to stay over there, they can stay over there. But me, this is how I want to do this. And
I think that's great. Yeah. That's beautiful, because I think that's one of the solutions, to just now be active and just like, I'm responsible and my partner is responsible for our child. Let's not worry about anything bigger than that. Let's start. Let's stop preaching. Let's do our own thing, and hopefully that will have an effect on a circle wider than that, and then bigger than that, and then bigger than that. Like what you're doing. Do your thing, and hopefully it will have its effect. And that's I think that's one of the most effective things in long term that you can do.
100%. I'm not going to spend my life any more of my life trying to convince, like, white men to not want to kill me.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that, right? Somebody, my friend put it like this. He's like, we want them to see eye to eye with us, right? But if that person's not willing to come to where you're at, no matter how far up this ladder you think you get and how much you shout at them, then just always, that's a decision that they've got to make, right? So this is, what I say to the music industry, because that's what we're talking about. Decide what world you want to live in, because sooner or later, we're all just going to go on strike. You know what I mean? And sports, the same thing. Sooner or later, we're just going to be like, you know what? I'm not playing ball with this anymore. So what are you going to do then? You know, and you know, I'm part of some things that are about that. And, you know, yeah, I don't know the answer to systemic racism because I'm not systematically racist. Like, I don't know.
That's beautiful. What you just said is so real. Oh man, you need to put that on the shirt. You need to put that on the shirt because that is probably one of the realest statements I've ever heard. I don't have the answer to that because I didn't create it. That's real.
I've been thinking about this my whole life, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know because I don't benefit from that power. I don't know what motivates. You know what I mean? Will motivate somebody to hate another person based on something that is fundamentally trivial, like or to want to have dominion over people in that way. I cannot understand it. And you know what? I do not want to try. Why should I? That's like me saying, you know, change it around. Am I supposed to feel like I don't feel sorry for my enemies? You know what I mean? I don't feel compassion for somebody who, in their heart, values my life less. Now, I'm not going to engage in the same oppressions, but I'm not also not going to use up my life force trying to reason with them because there's no reason involved in it.
Right. I think in order, somebody asked me, you know, how do you shoot down someone and you have no, how was that? I think it was my cousin asked me that. Yeah. He said, you know, he was asking about like a police officer. How do you kill someone? How do you kill a Black person? And there's just no, you know, conscious. I said, well, I told him, I said, well, you have to, for one, you have to be conscious first. Secondly, you have to see, I said, to see us as human beings.
Yeah.
The basics, and when I say basics, I mean the bare minimum basics.
Yeah.
Of just seeing us as human beings. How can you shoot? You know, you won't do. But I find it so ironic because I've seen people. I mean, but you know, it's okay to shoot a Black person, but if you shoot a dog.
Yeah.
GAIKA, I know you can relate to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You shoot a dog.
Yeah.
Cool. Kill the Black person. Please. Fine. Shoot a dog. And find out how much backlash you catch.
You get in.
Yeah.
And this is it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so I guess, yeah, there's no answer other than to just make a world that doesn't exist in and try and connect to the people that want to be invested in that. And I think, you know, putting that in my mind has been empowering, you know, like, you know, I'm not chasing, like, I just don't need validation from any of those things that are fundamentally toxic, right? And I think, you know, that's actually how we change the world. All of us, how we change the world for the better is to actually just opt out of what we know to be lies, right? Like let's cut the bullshit. Racism, sexism, these things are about power. Yeah. And let's just stop lying. Like, we know what it is. I'm not participating in that bullshit anymore. And you know, and also be prepared to defend ourselves, because you know, it's not just a case of, okay, I can go on my own way and everyone's gonna leave me alone. History has not shown that to be the case. Yeah. But it is what it is. I think where I got sick, it just brought a lot of things into sharp focus, you know.
Maybe this is a good time to to ask you guys, and I'll to our viewers out there, if you have questions for the panelists, if you want to drop those in the chat, then those will get relayed to me and I can ask them your questions. Because I think we're entering the home stretch here. Maybe this is a good time to ask you, all of you, what you're hopeful about. I mean, the pandemic is not ending anytime soon. Obviously, we have a ways to go. Yeah, what are you hopeful about?
The nature, the environment. This is it's been great. I mean, it's great to see that it's the environment is breathing, and you, at least here in Tehran, where we have made a lot of pollution issues, and so I mean, this is one really great thing. I mean, it's a big reset for the environment, for the nature. So that has been a big hopeful element of this whole COVID-19 thing. Yeah, that has been a big thing for us, for me and my wife. We've been really appreciating this, and we've been really hopeful that maybe people are now a bit more aware, and now even when this thing is over, some things will change regarding the environment.
Martina, what about you? I know it's tough times in Poland right now. Duda's back in power.
Yeah. I don't have much hope about Poland, to be fair, at the moment. I felt like that was our last moment to change something, and it's kind of like too late for now. And I don't see much hope there, to be fair. This is really crazy what's happening in Poland right now, and it seemed to just only escalate. So yeah, this is like my parents. They always say that if they would have been younger and speak English better, whatever, they would have leave now for sure. But like they're not, neither of them. So they're really happy that I'm not living there anymore. But I'm really happy that there are people that are still fighting there and not have given up as the way I did. And yeah, I'm really proud that someone's fighting that and has to go through that. But yeah, I am hopeful though for the music scene, because I hope we're gonna go through a lot of changes, and some of they may be bad, but some of they might just change the game a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely hopeful for it. Yeah, definitely the same with in music. Very hopeful for the advance, the innovativeness. I'm very hopeful for that. People really coming out and swinging, creatively, and us coming together, and just having those conversations, like how can we make it better? How can we do? Let's figure this thing out, and it pulls us closer, together. I'm hopeful for and I mean this I don't mean this on a specific front, but I'm hopeful for balance. I'm hopeful for balance. So, whatever that entails, with true balance, I'm hopeful for that.
I'm hopeful for a JLIN album. That's what I'm hopeful for. And then I'm actually hopeful. Actually, I'm an optimist. I feel like the America, and I feel like the world is at this crossroads where we're looking at this kind of nationalist, like populism, staring it down. And I think that there's going to be turmoil and it's going to get really rough. But I feel like in the end, the world will be remade a bit better than it was before. I feel like we've got some real hard times ahead, but I feel like, we survive. That's the thing. This, we've been talking about Black Lives Matter and stuff, and I feel like the thing about Black people, as emblematic of just people, is that can't kill us. We survive. will always have, and will always will. And
Ashe.
yeah,
Ashe.
and no matter whatever nefarious nonsense, you know, essentially oppressive people want to carry on with, we overcome that collectively as humankind. We do, and I think that's, you know, human beings. It's just like, to survive is part of humanity, and I just feel like we're just at that point of kind of changing the cycle. You know, I feel like the old world has ended and a new one is beginning, and it's going to be rocky and tough, but I am actually, believe it or not, an optimist.
That's beautifully put.
That's real. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all for doing this with us.
Thank you.
I really
No,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. Thank you. Yes. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Philip.
Unsound. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, all of you, every last one of y'all on this panel. You know, I know I may not talk to you all personally every day, but, you know, just, I'm proud of you, all of you. You know, we still here. And, you know, that's a hell of a lot. So, you know, I'm proud of everybody on this panel, everybody that's listening. You know, if you're not listening, hopefully if you will, you know, but just, you know, thank you to Unsound, thank you to Gasha and Matt for sure. And just, you know, everybody continuing to, you know, it's okay to have hard days, but, you know, we all get up collectively swinging. Hey, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make me cry, JLIN. All right. On that note, thanks everybody.
All right,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, that was great. Nie, poszli sobie. Boże. Hej Janek.